For more from the burial service.
And also coming up in this bulletin, one killed as father sets house ablaze in attempt to commit suicide.
Also in the bulletin, Ghana Meteorological Agency warns residents in flood-prone areas to prepare as it predicts heavy rains in the coming weeks.
Some of us who are living in low-lying areas, in Accra or in Ghana, when we say Jo, means valley. So when you take Jowulu, Malajo, all those is mean there is a valley. And when there is a valley, water must be.
Meanwhile,
Form 1 and 2 classroom, the roof have been removed by the heavy wind. A nearby house to the school, our removed roof damaged that building. The ECG pole around the school.
Rainstorms in the Shanti and Oti region brings halt to academic activities as school buildings have been destroyed.
And much later in African news, United Nations seeks $1 billion to help people hit by Boko Haram group.
All these stories and more over the next 30 minutes. You're listening to Lunch News on Asaase Radio 99.5 megahertz, bringing you the voice of our land. We're also live on our sister station, Asaase Radio in Kumasi, 123 FM in Tamale, on our affiliate, Stone City Radio in Ho, Mining City Radio in Takwa, and across the globe on Facebook at Asaase Radio 995. Now the details of our stories.
God be with you till we meet again. By his counsels guide uphold you. With his sheep securely fall.
The sounds of the siren of the hearse as 11 teenagers are driven for the very last time to their graves. The 11 drowned on the 7th of March at the Palm Beach after they went swimming through unauthorized parts of the beach. A mass burial was today held for the victims. Although it's feared that about 20 teenagers may have drowned, 13 bodies have been retrieved so far. One was immediately buried the day the body was found, and another is yet to be identified, leaving the number of identified bodies at 11. Central Regional Minister Justin Amarigood Asan, Minister for Transport Kweko Forie Siama, and Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture Hawa Kumson were all present for the burial service. Family, friends, and loved ones could not hide their pain as they looked on whilst their beloveds were taken to the cemetery. Let's now cross over to the Central Region where my colleague Jema Apia joins us live from the St. Luke Catholic Church in the Palm where the burial service was held and just ended. Hello, Jema.
Hello, Carrie.
So, first of all, what's happening right now? We know everybody is in a solemn mood. We had some of the relatives sharing their experience with their relatives who died and crying. But then what is the mood right now and what is happening?
So it's a wailing community at Apa, and at the moment the remains are being taken to the cemetery for burial. And earlier on, they had a burial service for the 11. You recall that 13 bodies were retrieved, 12 initially, and just last week, one body was retrieved. And what we are getting, the information we're getting, is that the last body that was retrieved was very immediately because of how decomposed it was. And the other one is still at the morgue because no member of this community has claimed to that body or as a relative to that particular person. And so that body remains at the morgue, but 11 of them are being taken to the cemetery for burial.
Gemma, we understand we had some representatives from government there. We had the Central Regional Minister, the Minister for Transport, and also the Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture. What have they been saying?
Yes, so the Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture, Howard Kumsing, the Transport Minister, the Central Regional Minister, Dastina Marigold, and they were all here to join the families to mourn the dead. But what they are saying is that from the presidency, they're giving 10,000 Ghana cedis to each of the family members, the family, I should say, to help them, to support them in these difficult times. And for those who survived, 2 of them survived, they are also receiving 5,000 Ghana cedis as a part of measures to ensure that this doesn't happen again. The Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture, Howard Kumsing, is saying that they're going to deploy lifeguards at the beaches, such that if anyone finds him or herself in difficulty, having that difficulty in breathing, house swimming, they can save the person.
Gemma, we know that there have been some conflicting reports on the exact number of children that went to the beach that day. But then what is the reaction from families who are yet to even know the whereabouts of their children? Because we understand one of the victims said they were about 25, but so far just about 14 bodies have been retrieved. How are the relatives reacting to it? Relatives who still haven't seen their children?
Yes, so what the community and its leaders did not know the exact number of teenagers who went swimming on that fateful Sunday. And so what they were depending on was the report by family members in the community that they cannot find their relatives. And that will mean that they will be searching for more. But as it stands now, no one has come out to also look for or to indicate that they cannot find the deceased. And even so, they can't really do much about it. They have to wait until they see what just work across the body. But the one body that is at the morgue, they say that there are some speculations that the victim may not be from the town, and that's why nobody actually came to that body. And so that's still at the morgue. Maybe in the future, if someone does, that body will be released to the family.
Thank you very much, Gemma Apia. And that was my colleague Gemma Apia reporting from the St. Luke Catholic Church in Apam in the Central Region, where 11 teenagers have been laid to rest.
And now to another sad story. A man has reportedly set a house ablaze, leaving his 9-year-old boy dead, after which he attempted suicide. The blaze, which swept through the 4-bedroom apartment, also left his surviving wife and child with minor injuries. Although it's still unclear the cause of his action, the incident has left many in a state of shock. Property where thousands of cedis have been destroyed in the process. Here is an eyewitness account.
And I did that best one. I'm sister about who suit and the banner wood, the banner wood. It's a bass, and my sister. They solid on my barber, had a cry up, Rana, where you. Tina, my man, me, and not that, Timmy, anyway, so on solid. And I'm a far away, so I'm in the shade, and I'm a far beshes, and I'm the bone, Musa. The barber, a peer bedroom, Neja. And them were how to say the name Janesia so saying can say, well, I of Bibia. The sister now, or Tiam said the body will need the manta for me, or bad Bama nephew. On the Antimian, you know. Now, Mamma Kayan, the fear and almost me a bombardi you.
That was an eyewitness account. Meanwhile, firefighters have recovered the charred body of the victim and deposited same at the morgue. The suspect, who also sustained minor injuries, is receiving treatment at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. Let's go to the phone lines and speak to my colleague Jonathan Ofori, who is following this very unfortunate incident. Hello, Jonathan. Good afternoon. And what more have you gathered?
Yes, so the officials from the National Fire Service have been here to assess the situation. What we have been told is that the charred body of the victim, that is 9-year-old boy who has been identified only as Desmond, has been deposited at the Asaase Hospital morgue. We have also received another update that the man, one Mr. Ajiman, who attempted to set himself ablaze, is also nursing life-threatening wounds at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital under his guard. So for now, this is what fire officials and the NADMO have been telling us as far as this incident is concerned.
Jonathan, we are told that it's unclear what exactly led him to do this initially, but do we know why he did this now?
Yes, the initial reports that I have gathered from the scene indicates that there were some fisticuffs between the man and his wife. And according to residents, this isn't the first time this has happened. And even before the incident, there was some misunderstanding between the man and his wife, and that led to this unfortunate incident. What I have also been picking up is that he locked all his immediate family in the 4-bedroom house and set the place ablaze. And in an attempt to set himself on fire, he was rescued and taken to the Konfanoti Teaching Hospital, where he is currently receiving treatment under police guard. Police have also been here. They have started investigating. And let me also say, this appears to be one of the domestic abuses that most women have been suffering from in Kumasi. This is the second time, and the last time we recorded this was a man who also allegedly poisoned his girlfriend over 50 Asaase, and he has since been remanded by a court.
Well, Jonathan, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed on this very unfortunate incident. We know you are following and you bring us further details in our subsequent bulletins. That was my colleague all the way from the Ashanti region, Jonathan Ofori.
You're still listening to the Lunch News here. Let's do other stories. The Ghana Meteorological Agency is predicting more rains in the Ashanti, Volta, Greater Accra regions and other areas along the country's coastal belt in the coming weeks. Although rainstorms in some hinterland areas in the Bono, Eastern and Ashanti and Volta regions have caused flooding, bringing both academic and economic activities there to a halt. The following report gives more details on the damages caused by the various rainstorms.
The rain, which lasted for 2 hours non-stop in most areas, was accompanied by a storm which ripped roofs off, felled trees and other structures. In the Ashanti region, the only CHIPS compound, 7 in Soyem No. 2, a community of about 16,000 people in the Bozome Frenho district, was severely damaged, leading to the suspension of operations. Its staff quarters was neither spared. Ernest Chiahene and Al-Hassan Sani, both workers of the CHIPS compound, conducted our Ashanti regional correspondent Jonathan Ofori around.
The bed has been destroyed automatically. You can see the roofing.
The trolleys
and our fridge too.
It has been destroyed. What we used to give infusions is also destroyed. You can see the syringes, the boxes and the rest. They are all destroyed.
So when there is an emergency that in Soyem here,
you have to go to Esiwa. That's our next health center within the district.
The violent rainstorm caused flooding, leading to power cuts, and the only public school there also closed down. The Nkwanta Roman Catholic and Kechebi Roman Catholic basic schools in the Nkwanta South municipality in the Oti region had their roofs as well ripped off. The rainstorm, which also caused considerable damage to other school property, has brought some academic activities to a halt. The Director of Education, Jonathan Kosina, is appealing for support to re-roof the schools.
COVID-19, ya chesu kunuma ediba anopa ebaivia sukula dan no ensoye na winso asanso asi na trese afidi ya semkra asanso ayemobo ye besre aboafo se omeba be yamwa omobenya kanti na doa ayedi bebo sukra ye besre sra wofo no so na de omwetumi dia mo bia no.
The Eastern region recorded similar damages to the Kwabibrim Model JHS at Utumi, leaving classrooms and students now at the mercy of the weather. Here is the assistant head teacher, Abubakar Yamino, narrating the incident to Asaase News.
There was a heavy storm. Immediately we realized that most of our classrooms, that's Form 1 and 2 classrooms, the roof have been removed by the heavy wind. A nearby house to the school, our removed roof damaged that building. The ECG pole around the school also broke down. So we are appealing to everybody, the government, anyone to help us.
Now, still on this development, the Deputy Director for the Meteorological Agency, Joe Tete Potofe, in an interview with Asaase News, advised residents in flood-prone areas to prepare for the storms ahead.
Yes, the Volta region, forests and hilly areas, that's Ashanti region, Brahafo region, and even some of, at certain times, the coastal areas will also experience these thunderstorms. As some of us who are living in low-lying areas, in Accra or in Ghana, when we say Jo, means valley. So when you take Jowulu, Malajo, all those is mean there is a valley. And when there is a valley, water must be collected in it. So if you are living in low-lying areas and the rain starts, please be advised to move.
Joe Tete Potofe is the Deputy Director for the Meteorological Agency. Let's stay a little longer on this because my colleague Philippa Tanga has visited some of these flood-prone areas to give us a live update from there. Hello, Philippa.
Hi, Karen.
So you've been speaking to residents. How prepared are they for the rains coming?
All right, Karen. I'm at Alaji right now, and we all know that this area is a flood-prone area. So I have some of the residents here. I want to ask what preparations they are making ahead of the rain and what they expect authorities to do. So I have some of them here I would like to engage now. Madam Patel, but what what's not happening? Then you know what? Say a hard. You don't try any easy cry. Now, Mumbai, and here, the year, and Yamina put to first. It's your asset in Nani and Yamajaya did Nani. Yes, by a woman from your mobile. Now, why are non serving? Instead of having some woman with your take out the figure. Oh, Auntie, you ever said your education could I? Oh, yeah, dear Maya. You have a papa. And one of the answers, the Ampama, the Yajuman, you will any idea. This is in fact, I'm about them. Why are they Maya? The Yaya country and your own that yes, Rana on your button from my Yansana and Yajuma. All right, Karen, there's a gentleman here I would like to talk to as well. But I say, number two, Aladua, if you know, then if you are my dinner, then I'm way up.
Send the soldiers, I had you power. I got an extreme of what I'm bending my expensive for a form of a mumble mine and so far. No, I'm going to be every bar. But on our way, what I really have the bar from 2012. I'm the young bar, picture, flat. Oh, but yet, that's really a secret of fancy and Yamapa. Every minute that a year, no by my. And yet, please, by my year, what a year. No. Number 2, okay. All right, Karen. And there's a gentleman here I would like to talk to. He is also a resident in Pastor. I want to know your all right, Karen.
Philippa, yes, so
these are some of the concerns the residents here are raising ahead of the rains, and so we hope that something will be done as soon as possible to help save the situation.
But quickly, before you go, does it look like there's been anybody there to warn them before the rains? Any communication from the assemblies?
Karen, can you please come again? I can hardly hear.
I'm asking if they've had any warnings from the assemblies as the rainy season approaches. Has anybody come around to sensitize them as how they can also prepare for the rains?
Okay, so the first area I visited, they made complaints that they've had several authorities come around to encourage them or to tell them that they are going to do something about the situation, and it's been something they've been saying all the time. Last year was the same thing, but they didn't see anything. 2 years ago it was the same thing. So they actually don't believe that something can be done, even though they are so calling on authorities to do something to save the situation.
Thank you very much, Philippa Tanga, for giving us the voice of the people of Alajo ahead of the expected rains.
You're still live on Asaase Radio. This is the lunch news, and now to other stories. 6 traditional leaders from Tome in the Western region are currently receiving treatment at the hospital after being attacked by some youth from Upper Discove. Police say the attack may have been instigated by litigation over a piece of land. Perpetrators of the attack are yet to be identified by the police. No arrests have been made yet. The Western Regional Police Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Police Service, ASP Olivia Irabna Adiku, narrated the incident to Asaase News.
Yesterday, at about 10:56, police had a call that some sub chief and some elders from Upper District have been attacked in a town called Rome, and that they've been rescued and sent to the palace of the lower paramount chief, Asaase Adjuman. So police followed up there, and they found 6 people who had various degrees of injury, and they were sent to Etienne Government Hospital. After this morning, they were still on us, and the victims who have not been able to talk to the police to know exactly what happened. They were attacked by some youth from the lower district. You know, the lower district and the upper district are in some land litigation. Our men are on the ground patrolling the area.
You heard the Western Regional Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Police Service, ASP Olivia Irabna Adiku.
Now, the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Kwesi Opoku-Amankwah, has advised private schools to be cautious in selecting books for use for their students. This comes after public uproar on social media from people who believe that some books which were circulating in some basic schools held some controversial views. However, the National Council for Curriculum Assessment has revealed that the books had not been approved for distribution and demanded its withdrawal. Speaking on the Asaase Breakfast Show, Professor Opoku-Amankwah said the National Council for Curriculum Assessment approves textbooks for use in basic schools. Private school authorities must do the requisite assessment to ensure that their students get the best value in the books they purchase.
Ghana Education Service or NACA cannot decide on which books that private schools should use. NACA has approved books. Those books have gone through a process. So for anyone, any school, any institution who wants to use books, your first point of call is to go to the NACA website. You want an English book, there are a couple of them in there. You can even go back to NACA themselves and then say, from the books that you have recommended, which ones do you think are the topmost ones that we can use, and they will give you the reasons why you should choose book A or book B or book D, and then you'll be well advised to do that. You seek advice, and you seek advice appropriately. School authorities, especially private school authorities, should ensure that they get the best for their students, just as we would do in our public schools.
And that was the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Kwesi Opoku-Amankwah. Meanwhile, spokesperson for the Minority in Parliament on Education and Member of Parliament for Akachi North, Peter Koto, has in a statement described the recent textbook publication on history of Ghana and Golden English for the purposes of teaching and learning in basic schools as offensive and divisive. The Member of Parliament said the books have the tendency to create national incoherence and discord. He urged that all of such books are recalled as promised by the National Council for Curriculum Assessment.
Well, it's now time for sports, and Benedito Husu has the details.
Yes, good afternoon, guys. Now, there's UEFA Champions League action tonight, with teams pushing to make the quarterfinals of the competition. More of that to come, but first, a lot of reactions have come in following yesterday's Ghana Olympic Committee Elective Congress. Well, after his re-election as president of the Ghana Olympic Committee, Mr. Benunu Mensah is already looking at getting sponsorship for Ghana's contingent at this year's Olympic Games.
First thing we need to work on, like I said, we've already wasted a lot of time on elections, on an election whose results wouldn't have changed if we had it today, if we had it before the Tokyo Games or after the Tokyo. It would have been the same. It would have been just like the tsunami that you've just seen. So with that in mind, with all the time that we wasted, I think that we need to get back quickly. I need to get the Tokyo team to start working from tomorrow. There's so much sponsorship that we need to get out there and raise, and that is what is going to determine how well we do at the games.
So that was President of the Ghana Olympic Committee, Bendino Mensah, speaking there. More of this will come later. But tonight, the UEFA Champions League is back with Manchester City coming up against German side Borussia Mönchengladbach. Remember, City won the first leg, and any form of win will see them make the next stage of the competition. That's the quarterfinals. In Spain, Real Madrid will host Atalanta with their eyes firmly fixed on making the next stage of the competition. And that's a sport.
Thank you very much, Benedict, for the latest in sports. Now to African news. And the United Nations is launching a $1 billion appeal in the Nigerian capital, Abuja, to help millions of people in need of humanitarian aid in the north of the country. The Islamist militant group Boko Haram has been carrying out attacks in the region for the past 11 years. More than 30,000 people have died and millions have been displaced in that time. The United Nations says despite the scaling up of humanitarian assistance since 2016, the situation remains dire. It estimates that nearly 9 million severely vulnerable people in the area need aid. The International Response Plan this year is targeting 6.5 million people in the worst affected states of Borno, Yobe and Adamawa.
And finally, aid agency Save the Children says Islamist militants are beheading children as young as 11 years in Mozambique's northern province of Cabo Delgado. One mother told the agency she had to watch as her 12-year-old son was killed in this way close to where she was hiding with her other children. More than 2,500 people have been killed and 700,000 have fled their homes since the Islamist insurgency began in 2017. The militants have pledged allegiance to the Islamic State group. In its report, Save the Children said it had spoken to displaced families who also reported gruesome scenes in the gas-rich province. One mother, whose name has been withheld to protect her identity, says her eldest child had been beheaded near where she and her other children were hiding.
And finally, university students in Madagascar have been taking to the streets in recent days demanding the payment of their student grants. The students' demonstrations initially broke out in a university in Tamatavo on the east coast before spreading to Toliara in southwest and the capital, Antananarivo. The students say they have been waiting since November to receive the grant they spent. On Monday, students of the University of Antananarivo and those of the Polytechnic of Antananarivo were out in the street to protest against the payment of only 1 month's grant out of the 4 they are expecting. 4 students were injured, including 2 who were admitted to the hospital as they confronted security forces. 2 others were arrested. And that'll be all for the lunch news here on Asaase Radio. A recap of our headlines.
Residents of Apam bid farewell as 11 victims of drowning incidents as they laid to rest.
1 killed as father sets house ablaze in attempt to commit suicide. Many thanks for your time. My name is Karen Dodu.
I'm Nanajua Aintia Hagen.
There's more news on AsaseRadio.com. Good afternoon.
Whether you're the most uptight girl or the slave